All right, what's going on, Legionnaires? Welcome to a movie review of a new movie. We get more and more movies coming out.
Finally.
It is so wonderful to be back in the theaters and actually get some comic corrections / comic perfections
That's right.
that are actually new and that not everybody's seen.
We're not going back 10, 15 years to be able to talk about them.
I mean, nostalgia's big these days,
Oh,
but come
of
on.
course. But we're past it at this point.
Yeah,
and
I'm
we
done
need
with
to
it.
talk
I
about
want
some
new
new
stuff. Yeah.
coming out into the Marvel and DC universe.
That's right. So, spoiler alert, this is the only one you're going to get.
Only one, I'm not telling you again.
We're talking about Shang-Chi today.
That's right.
But before we jump into that real quickly, don't forget if you're watching us on YouTube to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so that you can know when all of the new stuff is coming out.
Pop it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening to us on
Bop it.
Podcast
Pull it.
Nation,
Twist it.
that was such a fun game.
Yeah.
I loved that as a kid. I was so good at it.
Bop it.
I was a little too good at it.
Yeah.
I played that thing for way too long.
Pull it.
Do all those things so that you can make sure you don't miss any of our episodes.
That's right.
Because they're really good.
You want to hear them all.
I mean, we think they're good. Maybe you think they're good. If you do think they're good,
You got to be the very best.
you do. Oh, that no one. I don't know the Pokemon song
Come
that
on,
well.
man. Come on, man.
All I know
set
is
you up. I teed
you
that up
did.
for
You
you.
teed it up,
I
but I got distracted from all my mental nostalgia of Charizard.
I know. Yeah, fair. All my mental nostalgia of Charizard.
Man, he's
That's
the
a
great.
statement. That's a statement and a half
That
right
is
there.
a statement and a half. So if you like what you're listening to, jump on over to our Patreon. Link is in the description. We have some special offers and events coming up as
Big stuff.
We're getting
Big
close.
stuff.
We're getting close to our 1-year anniversary and
That's
our
right.
100th episode.
That's
We're
right.
so
It's a big
close.
deal.
And so we are offering some special limited edition merch. To people who are previous month
Some
Patreon
swag.
supporters. That's right. And people who join into the month of September, you
That's right.
are eligible. So we're going to put names in a raffle, and we are going to be giving away some limited edition zombie swag to go along with
So if you
Halloween.
if you're
Is that
a
what they
newbie,
call it?
yeah,
Hallows Eve.
Hallows Eve,
Hallows Eve.
all Hallows
All
Eve.
Hallows Eve.
Yeah, if you're a newbie or if you've been with
Yeah.
us since the start, you all are going to have a chance at these giveaways.
That's right, and we're going to be doing the giveaways on our show, so if you want to watch us do it, we're going to get one of those spinny things. It'll be cool to see on YouTube.
Sure.
It'll also be cool to listen to
Of course.
on podcast places.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say for There's so many different podcast
The places of podcasts.
The places of podcasts.
The podcast places of podcastness.
Go to the go to those places and bathe in podcasts.
Podcast die.
Yeah, bathe your ears in our podcast.
That got weird.
Well,
Bathe your ears. Lather them up.
Lather
up your ears in our words and in our podcasting.
That's how sound waves work, right?
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
There's some lather involved.
There's absolutely
so.
not. It's getting
Oh,
weird.
It is getting weird.
Gotta
All right, let's
move
get
on
on to
here.
our.
Let's
all right,
move
so,
on.
So we are going to do real quick before we even start. Is it a perfection or is it a correction? Shang-Chi.
For me,
What do you think?
For me, I
for you.
I put it right down the line.
So it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it
you
is.
know, I
Okay.
think people right now
Yeah,
are riding very high on Shang-Chi.
I'm
and
riding high on Shang-Chi.
The reason why
Yeah.
is because it's a new movie out. I really believe there is a skew on movies right now.
110%.
Like going way over the top in terms of their ratings and their reviews and everything just because it's something new.
Sure.
It's something out in theaters.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Shang-Chi. I
Yeah.
want to be clear about that. I don't have any issues.
I don't know.
Like,
There's been
I don't
some
really have
movies
any
that come out that
problems,
haven't
but
done
it
well.
just didn't hit for me
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way that's going to make me want to say that it's a perfection.
Right.
So it is what it is.
Ooh.
Like I
Okay.
just I'm not saying it's a perfection because it just didn't hit like some of the other Marvel movies for me.
For me, I think I might have it on the perfection level.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Well, for me, it's one of my favorite of the origin movies.
Okay.
So like
It is
you
a
look
solid
back at the origin movies?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is
it's
a
just one of my
solid origin
favorites.
movie. And you know,
Yeah.
I think here's the thing caveat that I will say.
Yeah, let me hear it.
We've had a lot of combined movies at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
You know, we've gone through the entire iteration of up to and through Endgame.
Yes.
So following that up with an origin movie is
it's
hard.
tough.
It's
Yeah.
really tough.
There's no big
so
team-ups.
being able to like read the quality of that type of origin movie
Yeah.
after you've had all of that that teamwork and build up together, it's tough.
Yeah,
it's
it
tough.
is.
I will say that. But I
Yeah.
do think they do a good job.
Yeah.
And I've only seen it once, right?
I was
going
gonna
to
say, yeah, I went and saw it a second time.
Yeah.
I will say I thought it was better the second time.
You were able to follow things a little bit better the
a
second
little
time?
bit better, and
Yeah.
I was able to just kind of sit in it. For me, I get overwhelmed very easily in movies because
This is a very
there's a lot going on in these
stimulating
kind of
movie.
movies. Yeah.
Not in these kinds of movies.
This one in particular. Well, we also saw it in 3D.
We did see it in 3D, but I'm
Which
not
is
even
really
talking about
trippy.
the 3D. Like, let's
Yeah,
just
I'm talking about the 3D.
Let's just talk about, for example, the
Yeah.
best example of overstimulating for me.
Sure.
It was amazing,
Yeah.
but it's still overstimulating. Was the scene where the father is putting the
Yes.
eyes of the dragon.
Oh,
in
I love
place,
that with
and
the
you
water.
see the water come down
all around
and then spread and create a
Yeah.
map.
All the bamboo.
It was amazing.
I love it.
It was amazing, but
Yeah.
that is an
Overload for you.
overstimulating
Yeah.
like piece
I get
of
that.
a movie
Yeah.
that is really kind of unnecessary. Like
I
it wasn't.
do. I like water.
I like water.
I do. It was
All
super
right.
cool.
But my point,
Yeah.
it was super
It
cool.
was super
but my
cool.
point is,
Yeah.
there was a lot of overstimulation.
There was, and you know, it's
Nothing against it, not a problem. But
Yeah.
it just was like for me,
yeah.
it was just like compared to other Marvel movies, it was
Agreed.
just a lot.
Agreed. And they gathered a lot of inspiration for a lot of these things from like Chinese traditional mythology
Yep.
and like the creatures we see in Tai Long and
Yep.
and the water and the moving bamboo maze and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's very so my wife said she's a big Miyazaki fan. So
Okay.
like Studio Ghibli stuff. And she was like she really, really liked this movie. Like
That's great. Yeah.
she told me she was like, "This might be my favorite Marvel movie."
Wow.
Which is a big
Big
statement because
Yep.
she's a big Marvel fan. Whether she won't ever come on the podcast and talk about it, but she loves Marvel movies and she gets into it
Still
as
a
much
bold
as anybody.
statement. That's
Yeah.
a bold statement. And
So she was like, "This is probably one of my favorites
you
because it
you
was
and-
so fantastical." That's what
Yeah.
she liked. Like
you and
the
I talked about this
mythicalness.
a little bit after.
Yeah,
One of the things is this movie
yeah,
was was really more about preference. Okay.
yes,
So
yes.
there were a
yeah.
lot of parts of this movie that were just not something that I prefer.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
and there's
exactly.
nothing wrong with it.
Right.
It's not
Wasn't
a
a bad
problem.
movie.
It's just
Yeah.
not my cup of tea
Yeah.
for certain things. And that's
Yeah.
not and I'm not going to like hold that against the movie at all in terms of like my review of it
Right,
or
right,
my
right, right.
perspective on it, but it just like wasn't my preference.
So would you say that this movie is kind of like bread?
no, bread is I really
Bread
don't
is
like bread.
worse.
I don't like bread.
So
Yeah.
bread is worse.
Yeah,
Would
bread
you
is,
say this movie is kind of like pizza, where it's like you like it for the most part, but there's parts of it that you're just like, the very end.
Yeah.
You're
yeah,
like,
I mean
"Eh,
like yeah.
I don't
yeah,
really like
sure.
this because it's just bread.
Well, yeah, because like I mean crust is pointless.
Yeah. For those of you who don't
except
know,
for like holding
Logan
it.
doesn't like bread.
I don't like bread. I don't
What
see
a
any
weirdo.
difference in any of the bread.
Yeah, they're all different. All right,
A
let's get
bagel's a bagel.
no. All right, we're not going to get down
Crust,
that road.
crust is pointless.
This is for a podcast of nothing. We'll have to talk about this later.
This is ridiculous.
We need to go into our actual review, our movie review.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the same thing we always do. We're going to jump first into our Carnage report.
Sure.
All right, so Carnage report, again, this looks a little bit different because it's a relatively new movie, but we do have, it's been about 10 days. So we're filming
10
this
days is
on
good
September
snapshot.
13th. So
Good
it's been 10
snapshot.
days.
Yeah.
Man, this thing's kicking it. All right, so opening weekend,
I'm not
dude.
surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
Opening weekend domestic,
Yeah.
$94 million
Yeah, that's
in
impressive.
opening weekend.
That's
so
impressive, especially during
great.
COVID here, opening very, very strong.
Yeah, and in the first 10 days, we've got $144 million in the
Wow.
first domestic.
Yeah.
Worldwide, $256.
Yeah.
So
You know what, though?
it's kicking it.
You know what,
It's doing
though?
well. Yeah.
Here's your comparison point, okay?
Yes.
Black Widow.
Yes.
It did not do as well as Black Widow.
Now it's doing better. I believe.
Okay, maybe
Like
after
so,
the
Black
10-day
Widow.
point.
So Black Widow did really great in the first
Opening weekend.
opening weekend, and then it just tanked.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
and again, we talked about that in our Black Widow review that we like that
we
first
had
weekend.
concerns about that. Yeah.
Yeah, the first weekend was like first Marvel movie since Endgame
Right?
in the theater,
Right.
or since Far From Home in the
Yeah.
theaters. Everybody goes, and then everybody stays home and watches Disney Plus.
Exactly.
So, like-
exactly.
we saw that tank out pretty quick. But this
Gotcha.
one is maintaining.
So yeah, I
pretty
mean,
hardcore.
I guess I was just referring to opening weekend. Like,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
would have expected transparently a little bit stronger of a showing because of the strength that Black Widow came out with.
Yeah,
she. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was like in the ballpark of 155 million.
In the opening weekend? I don't think so.
I thought it was really
I don't
strong.
remember.
I thought I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I
We'll
thought
look
it
it up.
was like insanely strong in terms of
Yeah.
its release. We'll have to check that out. But I am not surprised at all by this grossing and then the showing that it's getting. I especially am not surprised by the worldwide showing. I actually would have expected it to be a little bit better in terms of a worldwide showing.
Black Widow only made 80 million opening weekend.
80 million.
This made 94.
What did it make
domestic.
worldwide though in its opening weekend?
Oh, 215.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there it was.
There
There's
it
the
is.
bigger one.
There it
Yep,
is.
There's the big one.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Black
was
Widow
like
snags 250
worldwide.
million in biggest opening.
Yeah. So the worldwide opening
makes
for
sense. Yeah.
for Black Widow knocked it out the park.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's kind of what I'm expecting now is like, okay, that's my aggregate.
Yeah, but that was
That's my
bigger.
aggregate.
That was bigger than Last Jedi.
Yeah, I know.
So like that was the biggest Disney opening. Since
I know
last-
it's insane.
Yeah. Well, anyway. All right. So
But
it's doing well though.
It's doing well. It's doing very
real
well.
and
I'm
it's
not surprised.
continuing to do well.
And I'm
So
not
it's-
surprised at all that it's doing well.
All right.
You know, I think it's a very good movie. It just wasn't like
Yeah.
just not what I really
100%.
love.
You and that's one of the, when we've talked about this before, but that's one of the beauties of Marvel movies is that even though they have their formula, there's still such variety.
Yeah.
Like they're not all the same kind of movies. Some of them are spy thrillers.
You're
some of
exactly
them are fantasy movies. Some of them are romantic comedies. Some of some of them are teen dramas. Like there's so many different things.
We're going to talk about the ending in this one, and because of the way
the ending was a big kicker for you.
It's a big kicker for me.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
loved
also a type of movie. It's a different type of movie than we've seen before.
Yes.
So the ending, this movie was I'm just going to name it, was like it's a mega monster CGI versus a mega monster CGI.
Yeah, it's like
and
like
so,
the old Godzilla King Kong kind of
exactly
face-offs.
Yeah, it's this major face-off between two CGI monsters, which we haven't really seen that much of in
Marvel. No, not that big. Anyway, these guys are literally like King
monsters
Kong size. Yeah.
So like this is the first time we're seeing that. So it was good to see that as a different formula in it. So I appreciate them going for that and doing that.
This wasn't what you.
Yeah, I don't like big monster battles at the end.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I just don't. I feel like the overuse of CGI is what kills it for me sometimes.
At least the CGI looked good in this one.
It did. It looked great. No.
It wasn't
it looked
Green
great.
Lantern CGI.
No. And it did look great, and the monster battles look great.
Yeah.
I just, if I'm there to see a superhero movie,
you want to watch
I want to watch the superhero be the one doing the battle.
All right, we'll talk about the end battle in a minute. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we're getting way ahead.
So the critics are right along with this box office here. This is incredible, man. So the critics score with 276 critics so far at a 92%.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and the audience score with over 10,000 reviews is at a 98%.
That's really impressive.
So they're really pulling strong numbers here.
And
I know the COVID skew is there, but still.
It is. But it's still very strong.
We've seen movies tank.
It's not skewed that.
We've seen movies tanking in COVID time.
Right, but it's not skewed that high. Like,
No.
I'll tell you, there's a skew there.
There's a skew. It's probably more like
it shouldn't have a 98.
It
shouldn't have a 98.
Audience score is probably more like a 90 or a 92.
Yeah, I would probably
not a 98.
Anywhere between an 85 and a 90, I wouldn't be surprised by.
Yeah,
that makes sense to me. I definitely
think
it deserves that.
In the 90s.
I could be
like
it could be.
audience wise.
Sure,
if their
but
skew wasn't there.
The skew is really blowing things out the water. I mean, to give you a comparison, I mean, like Kong versus Godzilla received like an above 90 score.
Yeah, but it didn't stay that way 10 days after. That's the thing.
It stayed that way pretty long.
Did it really?
Yeah. Kong, it was a bad movie, and that's my point.
Yeah.
Is like these movies should not be in the same ballpark. Like, and they are.
Right
for
sure.
Now.
This one's more accurate.
This one is more accurate.
Yeah.
Whereas like that is like, who is rating this? Like, and
not me.
And that's my point. Is
we should do Rotten Tomatoes.
We probably
should type in.
Yeah, we should. We'll go ahead.
I think so.
Yeah, but my point is like there's some skewing that needs to still correct out of the movie theaters.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. So cast. I'm going to not pronounce these names correctly. Some of them I will, some of them I won't. So I apologize to everyone who's listening because we know that all the Marvel stars listen to our podcast.
Oh, of course.
I don't want you to be
Avid
offended.
listeners.
I love you all very much.
Of course.
But this, All right. So Simu Liu plays Shang-Chi. So he's the lead. Incredible dude. I follow him on Instagram. I love his physicality, like in real life.
Yeah.
And his just dedication to learning how to move and how to fight for this movie. He really didn't have, from what I remember from interviews, he really didn't have a lot of martial arts background before this movie, but he was just a very physical dude.
Yeah.
And he picked up, man. He did a lot of his own stunts.
Sure wouldn't have.
Really
would not
great.
have been able to tell me he didn't have any sort of martial arts background before this.
Yeah, he was great. And then we get Awkwafina in there as Katie.
Wonderful.
Comedic relief, but she's also a heart in there.
Yeah,
she's great.
a heart.
She was like my wife's favorite character.
She's great.
So good. And Katie is actually in the comics is a superhero. So maybe she'll be a superhero.
Maybe.
Who knows? Which I would be cool seeing Awkwafina as a superhero. I would love that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Tony Chu Wai Liu. He played Wenwu, or the Mandarin, who doesn't like to be called the Mandarin because it's chicken. But you might remember him from, he was in Hard Boiled, the comic adaptation of Hard Boiled.
Yeah.
He was also in, he played Ip Man in Masters or Grandmasters or there's an offshoot where he's in that.
Yeah. I've seen a number of the Ip Man's like offshoots and everything.
Yeah, so he's in one of those, and he's great. He's really, really cool. Though he does a lot. He actually does a lot of romantic movies. But he was really good in this.
Well, he was a bit of a romantic in this movie as well.
That's true. You're right.
You know, he didn't go far outside of his range for that.
Yeah, that's true. His drama chops really shone through.
Oh, it sure did.
To me, the emotion he portrayed in his eyes alone was like
the intensity,
head and shoulders over most of the cast. Like he was just incredible.
Yeah, I mean his dinner scene where he was addressing them.
Yeah,
I thought that was
about
phenomenal.
the importance of their names and history and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, super cool. Ben Kingsley comes
my
back.
Man.
My goodness, I love it.
Trevor,
I can't believe they brought Trevor back to that degree.
Yeah.
That was
How
something.
How did they get Ben Kingsley for this?
I don't care. It's amazing.
I honestly,
they're Marvel and Disney. They paid him a ridiculous
I'm blown out of the water by how they were able to bring him back for such a ridiculous role. He must just love playing it. He must love playing it.
It seems like a really fun part.
Yeah.
I just love the fact that was like the best kept. That was nowhere.
No,
like, nobody knew he was going
to be in it.
Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah.
All right. Here's where I'm going to really struggle. Meng'er Zhang plays Xialing, his sister.
Yep.
She was also super intense, super cool.
Let's be honest. They were mostly
all of them
intense in this
everybody
movie.
This
was
cool.
a super intense movie.
Yeah, it was high octane like the whole time.
The least intense person was like Razor Fist. Like that was like the least intense, and he was trying to be the most intense. Yeah, and he came across as the least.
He was
intense.
Overcompensating.
Yeah, he was
with
his
ridiculous
Razor
Fist car.
Yeah.
And then Michelle Yeoh played Ying Nan, who was the aunt from Tai Long.
Yep.
She's been in a lot.
Yes.
She's been in a lot of stuff. I
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
She was in Kung Fu Panda.
Yep.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Yep.
She was in 007 Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yes, she was.
She was with Pierce Brosnan. So she's done a lot of action movies and a lot of the movies with heart in them. And she played the aunt so well.
Oh, incredible!
Man, she was great. And to see her do some awesome kung fu.
Oh yeah, she's a legend.
Yeah, her redirect. Her and her sister both the redirecting moves. I don't know nothing about. I am no Clev. I know nothing about martial arts. I can't ready to fight.
Yeah.
But I loved the redirecting of Tai Long, that kind of fight style, where it's just redirecting the other person's energy.
Mm-hmm.
Super, super cool. So, great cast.
Oh, phenomenal. Yeah.
I love the fact that they got, like, legit people who have Chinese heritage, who can speak Chinese,
Thank
and
God.
that like the majority.
Thank God.
There's probably a good 70% of the film was in Chinese.
I mean, let's be real.
It was so cool. I
Marvel-
love subbed movies like with subtitles. They're like my favorite. I love reading in a different have a different language go.
Yep.
And I told Jamie, my wife, when we were going, I was like, most of this is in Chinese.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to read through it. It's gonna be awesome. It's so cool.
Marvel has made its fair share of mistakes in terms of whitewashing in the past.
Yes.
And it was good to see that they didn't continue making that same mistake.
Yeah. Ben Kingsley was like, and Razorfist was like the only main characters who weren't of Chinese descent. It was so cool, man. It was so great to see that.
Yeah.
And it goes along with the history of Shang-Chi as well, and the desire to redeem that history.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about next as we go through their source material. So source material, real quick. We don't read. We haven't read a lot of Shang-Chi.
No, I'm not going to claim like I have. But
I haven't. But
I
want to read the
some,
new stuff now.
I do. Well, yeah,
legit.
the new stuff is legit. The
Yeah.
old stuff is racist.
Super racist. So they change a lot. So there's a lot of times we were like, oh, this is a great movie because it's comic
they
accurate.
changed it.
Yeah, we're like, no, this is a great movie because it's not comic accurate.
Yeah, if it was comic accurate, we'd
would have
a very big problem on our hands.
Yeah, so in the comics, Shang-Chi's father is an evil martial arts master called Fu Manchu, and he is like every horrible Chinese stereotype mashed into one character. And I know he's supposed to be the villain, but that doesn't make it right to show horrible stereotypes of a people group. So Marvel, the MCU did a great job of removing that character completely.
Yep.
And Marvel Comics had removed him a while back and replaced him with an evil sorcerer as his father. And so the Mandarin's not really his dad in the comics, but he is in the movie, and that worked really well. Having Wenwu in there was great.
Well, and I think what worked really well with it is, the Mandarin is one of the greatest villains for Iron Man.
Yeah.
And so we had wondered after they ruined him in Iron Man 3.
Yo, they hate Iron Man 3 as much as you do in this movie.
I am
great.
Thank you. Thank you. I would get along with his dad.
With Wenwu?
Oh my gosh, I would get along with him very well.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah, no, I believe it is. I've told you, I identified very well with the villains.
Yeah, I know.
But my point here is, I thought they made a really good turn on how to address the 10 rings, because the 10 rings in the comics is rings.
They're actual rings.
They're actual blang blang on the fingers.
Yeah, but they're very similar to Infinity Stones. They look very similar, same colors and everything.
Yep.
You couldn't do that.
And so when they brought in the 10 rings and the way that they manifested the abilities in the rings.
Yeah, they made them bangles.
Oh my gosh, I thought it was awesome.
They should be called the 10 bangles.
Yeah, 10 something, but 10 destructive forces on the planet.
Sonic rings. When they float around Shang-Chi. They look like rings from Sonic.
Oh, you're right.
They're like gold and they're like spinning in circles.
Yeah, they were
super cool,
that was
man.
Much,
they were
much
so
cooler
cool.
than going with the rings.
Yes.
I also. You all right over there?
Yeah.
You can't go
so
through.
excited.
You can't go through your mic. You have to be above your mic.
I lost my sense of depth.
Got really excited.
Yeah. So great, Sonic.
But the other thing that I think was really cool was the way that they built the father in terms of being the Mandarin without naming that he was the Mandarin.
Right.
But also the pride that he showed.
Both
in himself, but also the hubris he showed. And I thought that was really, really awesome, because I remember very distinctly at one point him saying that one of his names, when he's
going through who he's been called in history.
Right. The most deadly man alive.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I'm like, has he not watched anything else happening on Earth here?
Well,
there are a lot more deadly men than him.
Yeah, I don't know.
There were a lot more deadly men than him.
Men?
So here we go.
Or so Thanos is more powerful than him.
Right.
Who's a man that's more powerful?
Well, you could start making arguments across multiple Avengers that are more deadly.
I guess. I'd be interested to see him go up against somebody like Cap.
Cap,
I'd be
Iron
interested to
Man.
see.
Like, I mean, like, this
I
is
think
where the battle.
I think he'd beat Iron Man.
No, he doesn't
This
in the comics.
I know he doesn't in the comics, but this version is very different. I think he might
doesn't.
be able to. Yeah, I don't know.
But
Well,
my point being,
yeah, it's super
like,
cool.
There's a lot of pride.
Yeah.
There's a lack of humility, and it's
Yes.
really cool to see how he then like goes after Trevor's character. So there is a on Disney
Yes,
Plus,
there's a short
short
showing how he gets out of prison.
like
right?
I think it's called All Hail the King.
Yeah.
And it's about Trevor in jail and
federal prison. Best thing
in
that ever
federal
happened to him.
prison. Best thing that ever happened to him. And in prison,
Yeah.
it's about the Ten Rings coming and capturing him.
Yes.
And
yeah.
taking him
Yeah.
to the actual Ten Rings and to the Mandarin. The actual Mandarin. It's an awesome little clip. It's 13 minutes long.
Yeah.
Watch it, and
Yeah.
it's like it's amazing. Ben Kingsley again. I don't know how they get him for this stuff, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And so the reincarnation of the Mandarin and the way that they portray him does a much better job
So much
to the
better.
actual character
Yeah.
in the comics than what we saw from the fake Ben Kingsley in
Or
in
the
Iron
fire,
Man 3.
or the fire,
or the
breathing
fire
Killian.
dragon. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Killian
now
wasn't the
there's
Mandarin.
a dragon in this one. Well,
Yes.
Well, Killian did call himself the Mandarin.
Yeah, Killian called himself,
called
the,
himself the
Mandarin,
Mandarin.
but he tattooed
He's
a dragon
not.
on himself. Like, as opposed to
Yeah.
the actual dragon that we saw in this.
Who's also not the Mandarin.
Who's also not the Mandarin, yes.
All right, last little bit to comic connection. There is a comic run in the newer Shang-Chi where it explains Shang-Chi having his first kill as a teenager and then turning his back on his father and eventually becoming an enemy to his father.
Yeah,
so,
which is what we see played out
so they
here.
took that.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the broad stroke that they
Specific
took. And then they
storyline.
went in and filled the details into its own story that worked really well within, the mythos of the character.
Yep.
While removing itself from the more racist sections of it.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about our review, our correction perfection. It is what it is. We're kind of split on this one.
Yeah,
so
we're a little
different.
bit split.
But let's talk about it.
So there's a number of things I think the visual effects of this movie are phenomenal.
So good.
I don't think I can take away from that at all.
Yeah.
I will talk about it at different times being maybe a little bit overstimulating.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, some people really like that. Other people don't.
Yeah.
I think they leaned a little bit too heavily on CGI at different points.
Yeah.
My perspective.
The Chinese Pokemon?
Yeah. Like, my perspective.
They were cool, though.
A lot of like the different beasts in this are
super cool.
CGI.
But they are
cool,
they are CGI.
But they are all CGI.
They did.
Everything is CGI.
I was a little disappointed in that to a degree. I mean, I don't know how else you could do it.
I don't know, but I just am somebody who I prefer to see a better balance of CGI and live action and
the
real feel to some of these things.
First, like 70% of the movie was pretty practical. I mean, like,
did you watch the bus? That was practical.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like, the majority of that was actually a bus that they he was actually on. It wasn't like a whole bunch of CGI crazy things.
This your man.
This your man, Clev.
This your man, Clev.
I
did a little martial arts
in my youth.
I'm gonna try rating this.
Yeah, I know, but what I mean is, like, they use CGI to enhance what was already very grounded.
You're right.
And it didn't until they got to Tai Long. It really wasn't like.
I would say I would put it a little bit before that until they got to
to the father's
no
place?
Even before that, like until they actually got to the sisters fight scene. Like, that is where the CGI
the scaffolding
really
was a little bit.
over.
The scaffolding was
even
a good
the
amount.
people. Like, I mean, we got to see
we got
more
the Abomination and
Abomination.
he was sick.
He was great. But what I'm still saying,
fins.
He's got his fins flying
fin
out. He's
face,
obviously working with Wong in some way.
I love it.
There's some greater story
I'm
there
telling
that
you,
I'm interested in.
It's Wong gathering information with Doctor Strange about the multiverse.
And so, like, a lot of people said, based off of this movie and some of the other pieces that have happened in shows, is Wong is the new Coulson.
Yep. Oh, yeah,
so
100%.
He's the new one who is out on the ground.
I wonder.
Getting feelers out there.
Yeah.
Like Coulson did for Fury, but now Wong is doing for Strange.
I wonder if that Abomination is a variant. from a different
Maybe.
dimension because
Could be.
he doesn't look like the MCU
That'd be interesting.
Abomination.
That's an
he looks like a
interesting
more
approach.
comic accurate.
Yeah.
So maybe Wong's collecting him because it's like this isn't the right Abomination.
Right.
You know, kind of a thing.
Pulling him out.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So there was
So I mean,
there's
but it
some
was
CG
my
in
point,
there.
My point
yeah,
was
for sure.
that point on.
Yeah. Okay.
It became very CGI heavy.
much more.
And so
yeah.
still, it was very beautiful.
Yeah, and done well, just
Very-
not
yep.
the style you would have
Yep.
preferred.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's all. I
Which is great.
won't hold anything against that.
Yeah.
It's just I don't like movies that lean so heavily on CGI.
So
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about how much we've enjoyed the fights.
Yes,
in it,
that
the
is a high
choreography.
point for me.
What was your favorite fight in the whole movie?
Oh my gosh.
Like which one would you want to go back and watch again? Like first?
The bus scene.
Yeah, the bus.
The bus scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was and the reason it's the bus scene is because you and I talked about this before. It is the most reminiscent of like a Jackie Chan fighting scene where
Yep.
he's utilizing different pieces within the area that to be able to defeat those that he's fighting, but it's also like to some extent a bit more of like a dance than it is even martial arts at different points.
Yeah.
You know, like
Agreed.
I think
Agreed.
about specifically where he takes off the jacket, wraps the guy's arms, puts the jacket back on, all within one motion. I think that's amazing. I really liked the bus scene.
Yeah, the bus scene was really cool, and it was the first time you really got to see Shang-Chi kind of step out.
Well, yeah, because Awkwafina's like, he can't even fight.
Yeah, right. She's like, "What are you talking about? He's not going to be able to fight."
Yep.
Yeah, super, super cool. I was trying to find the name of the dude. The guy with the mask that trained Shang-Chi. He's an actual. He's like actually from the comics.
Yeah, I expected more
he
from
got just
that.
soul sucked at the end.
He just got soul sucked
but
at the end,
I
and there
can't
was
remember
like
his
nothing.
name.
And there was like nothing to it.
Yeah.
I expected more from like a final battle between like Shang-Chi and that character. Because there was this whole buildup of
he's
him
the one
like
who
beat him
and everything.
beat him into submission and the work that he did.
Yeah.
And then like nothing.
Death Dealer. Death Dealer is the name of the character.
Yeah, well, I don't care. It doesn't
no,
matter.
I know. Well, I just want it's for the fans.
No. You're missing my point.
Yeah.
Is I don't care because nothing came of it.
No, but what? So,
Like Death Dealer, like you could have called him
He could have been anything.
Mask Face. Like you could have called him anything.
Taserface.
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 Woke up in the morning and you looked in the mirror and you said, "I'm gonna go by Taserface."
Well, the reason I bring it up, so it does matter because that was my favorite fight. Was him against Death Dealer at the top of his sister's establishment, where they fight.
Okay.
Where they fight at the very end when he has the medallion or the pendant, and he fights him there, and he's got the little knife.
It was a
and
solid
they're going
fight.
through, and they're and at one point. My favorite part of it is at one point he like knocks the knife out of the guy's hand. He reaches and just catches it and brings it right back in. Just super, super cool. And I feel like we got to see. It was like the first time we really saw Shang-Chi go against somebody who was able to actually keep up with him. Because the guys on the bus, they weren't a match for him. He took all of them on.
Razor Fist isn't going to be a match for him.
Not unless he catches him with that. I don't know what kind of thing that was. It was like heated.
Heated blade.
Yeah, it was like those special knives you get to like cut large things of meat that like heat up and just, it's like one of those on your arm.
Listen, I would not have trusted that guy with that on his hand. I'm gonna be real. That guy's gonna chop
dude was
his
not
own
smart.
guys or himself up before he
well,
actually
he switched
defeats.
to dragon scales at the end, man.
Yeah,
he got
how
the
about
really tough. Well, anyway, but he
shouldn't have been trusted with that.
Death Dealer's fight with Shang-Chi in the top of the building.
Fight.
That was my favorite.
Solid fight.
I liked them all, but I think that was my favorite one. It was. They were all just super cool. They were really well thought out.
Yeah.
You know, they told a story.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I would have almost gone to his fight with his dad.
Yeah, me
because
too.
The rings were actually
really
pretty
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
But I just thought the first one on the bus is a little bit more pure. It's a little bit more down to earth. Whereas that one was more focused around the rings.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that one was much more story driven rather than like real practical hand to hand driven. Whereas the two we were talking about was much more like the old classics with the Masters. Like that were just always so much fun to watch.
And a scaffolding fight.
It was cool too. Yeah.
in any Chinese movie is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It was great.
So once they got on the scaffolding, I was like, yes.
My
yes.
only critique of that fight
Yeah.
was there were too many cuts. I wish they would have let it breathe more and let us see more. If you watch the old,
like a single pan.
yeah, if you watch the old like Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, Sammo, Hong Kong, martial arts movies. If you watch those old movies, what makes them so amazing is that they never cut the camera. It's just one.
True.
It's like
true.
It's like a
continuous
10-minute
shot.
fight, and they're just and it's never cutting the camera. And there's no
very
camera
true.
tricks.
Yeah.
And so you really get to see them breathe in their fight.
Right.
And so in this, there's a lot of cuts, and I know it's because not all the actors were as competent in martial arts as as these. I mean, obviously they're not going to be as competent as Jackie and all those guys.
Right.
But it was just like I wish it breathed a little bit more than cutting through.
That's fair.
But it was still really, really good. All right, let's wrap this up. So we're gonna let's talk about the end of the movie, and then we're gonna talk about what we think is gonna happen, or what do we think about the 10 Rings? What do we think about the future of the MCU? So end of the movie.
So the ending is solid for anybody who likes big monster movies.
Right. Yeah.
It's a
agreed.
great ending. I thought it was very strong for a big monster movie.
Yeah.
I just don't like big monster movies.
Yeah.
I just in terms of a CGI monster versus a CGI monster, you're just not going to get me excited about that. And especially when this is Shang-Chi.
That was the crux.
That's who the superhero is.
He Kamehameha though.
Yeah, he did Kamehameha. No, but you get my point.
Yes,
it's
I totally get where you're coming
from. I am there to see Shang-Chi face off against a villain and fight and conquer and win.
Right.
Like, I am not there to all of a sudden see two giant dragons fight each other in the air. And I get it.
Yeah,
I know it's from the comics.
Sure.
I understand.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I am there for Shang-Chi.
Yep.
I want to see Shang-Chi fight.
Yeah.
I wanted a big final battle, and that was it. And so I didn't want two giant monsters. It just isn't something I was really interested in.
Right. And we did get the end fight. The problem was that wasn't the end.
The end fight with his father was even cut short.
Because the end was actually the monsters.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we did get a really cool end battle with his dad, and it was really fun, and it was really intense.
Yeah.
But then that wasn't, and you've always been a big proponent of how it ends. How do they finish something? And so the finish of that battle was just not your cup of tea.
A great movie, for me, can be ruined by a bad ending. And I've had this argument with people plenty of times, well, no, the rest of the movie, no, you don't understand. If it doesn't end well, why did I watch this movie? Why did I just spend the last hour and 30 minutes
right. Yeah, the ending's key.
Building up to something
Agreed.
Only to be let down by it? And I'm not let down by this ending.
No, this is different. It's not a bad ending.
It's not a bad ending.
Yeah.
And I'm not let down by it.
Good.
I thought they actually, trust me, the battle between those two monsters was much better than Kong versus Godzilla.
Sure.
Kong
and it was relatively short.
Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla. Kong and Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla. All of it.
Yeah.
It was better than all of it. It was. You're right. It's also
it
relatively.
was really short. It was only like 8 minutes or so. It was pretty short.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
Comparatively, that's
which is
fine.
probably why it was tolerable for you.
Right. Why I could palate it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it diminishes Shang-Chi to an extent.
Okay,
and the reason why I feel it diminishes is because we were there for him.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's see a battle for him with somebody else.
So you think the dragon played too much of a part in it? The dragon shouldn't have been. The dragon should have been dealing with the guys in the background and let Shang-Chi be the finisher.
Yeah.
I get that.
Easily
I understand
could have that or the dad releases the evil dragon.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And that battle happens simultaneous
to him and the son.
Yeah,
but they wanted to redeem the dad a bit. I think
they did, but
no. But I mean, then they couldn't have had. Then that couldn't have been the end. The end would have had to be. So the darkness creature in the comics is much smaller and more of a humanoid creature.
That would have been what I was
expecting.
I was half expecting this thing was going to come out and possess his father.
That's what I was about to say. That would have been
what
great
I was looking
for. If he protects Shang-Chi and then it possesses him and then he has the evil
rings.
Version of the
now Shang-Chi has the rings,
right?
And his father
is
possessed by
powers.
the demon.
Yeah, I agree. even though I liked the ending, and I do like big monster fights.
Yep.
Like Pacific Rim is one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
I think I agree. I think it would have been better if he would have been possessed and we would have fought a humanoid versus a humanoid.
I just think it takes a little bit away from Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
and that's
I
my
get
only
that.
thing.
I get that.
Like, what kind of hero is he now? Is the question.
Right. Well, and so there's more. I mean, obviously he's coming back, and there's more movies, and we'll get to see. And this is only the first time
but this
we're seeing
is an origin
him,
story. So what you're doing here is you're setting the groundwork for the type of hero he's going to grow to become.
So to me,
I don't
that
know
shows
if we really got that entirely here at the end.
He's a teamwork guy. Like he's like a. Like so Shang-Chi in the comics can like sense chi, and he can he's very like attuned to the spiritual, and so like I can see them tying that in, that he had this connection to the Great Dragon, and like he's got
Then we needed to know that.
Well,
then
so
we needed more of that.
Yeah,
to know
the mom did
the
say
connection to the dragon.
The mom did say that the dragon lives in him at the beginning.
Yeah, but we needed more of a connection. We needed some other connection.
And maybe we might get that in future films. But I'm just wondering if that's the path they're going to end up taking.
Sure.
That he's going to be more of like a let me connect with spirits and nature and the great dragons and use that.
Yeah, and that'd be great. And I'd be interested to see more, but it's just I would have liked to have seen more of him holding his own at the end.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right, so 10 rings. So a little I looked into
now
a little
they're looking
background
at these
into
10 rings and they don't know what they are.
Yeah.
Nobody has any idea.
Yeah, so I looked into a background of the 10 rings. Again, I'm not big into the 10 rings or Shang-Chi, so I didn't read a lot with the Mandarin as a kid and everything. So I wasn't really super familiar. So I looked up some stuff because you know me, I read books. My statue proves it.
Yep.
So fans were like freaking out at the first trailer that they showed the Great Protector, the dragon.
Yeah.
Right? But they didn't say it was the Great Protector. They didn't say who it was. And people were like, oh, it's Fin Fang Foom.
Yep.
It's the giant
that was what we thought at
green
first.
dragon who's a bad guy in the comics. He's evil in the comics. And I was like, oh, man, that's cool. He's underwater. There's Fin Fang Foom. That's going to be the battle. He's going to have to fight him. Right? So that's really – I was super stoked for that. It obviously wasn't him.
Nope.
But – people are assuming that's probably the same species as Fin Fang Foom.
Yep.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So Fin Fang Foom is, I'm gonna see if I can butcher this name. I've only ever read it. I've never actually heard it. Is a Makluin. So a Makluin is a shape-shifting creature who usually takes the form we've seen the most of these giant space dragons. So they're actually from space. They're aliens.
Yep.
In the comics, they crashed on Earth, and the Mandarin stole from them their rings, which is what gave him his power.
Exactly.
So the thought then is that Captain Marvel at the end says she's never seen it before. They say it's not Chitauri. They say it's not vibranium. They say it's nothing found on Earth.
Yep.
So the thought is it's probably McLuhan metal.
Okay.
And it's from these space dragons, and that's where the power is coming from.
Okay.
And they mentioned that there's a beacon in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So the thought is it's calling Fin Fang Foom. It's calling the rest of the space dragons to Earth. So the Great Protector crashed on Earth, and grew to love the people of Earth and protected them. But there's obviously evil of every creature.
Sure.
And so the evil versions of the Great Protector, like Fin Fang Foom, are going to come to the Earth, and that's going to be probably Shang-Chi 2. Is that they'll fight them.
I can get behind that.
So I think that would be pretty cool.
I can get behind that if we can see some more humanoid work done with that.
Fin Fang Foom is much, in the comics anyway, is much more humanoid. He's big, but he's got he's not like, the Great Protector was a very serpentine.
Yeah.
Dragon, which could be, if he came a long time ago, it could be that he just took the form of the ancient Chinese myths that he grew up around. Because he's a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
To better fit in with their mythology.
My point. And that's my point is if we see some more shapeshifting and movement between humanoid form and then a dragon form. And,
that'd be cool.
Shang-Chi having to balance with that, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, like if you fight him and then he grows wings back, and then he grows a tail and wraps it around him, and that'd be fun.
Right.
Shape shifting villains is always cool. So
it is.
Hopefully that's what they're drawing towards, and that would then line up with this is not an alien race that we've seen yet, so it would make sense that Bruce wouldn't know what it was. And I mean, it's a big universe.
Well,
so
and it can also get into
there.
Sword more. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this
that's
gives
true.
us an opportunity to tap into that storyline, which we
Nick
haven't
Fury's
done
still
much
out there.
with. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so maybe they'll find the space dragons on the way or something.
Yep.
Which would be neat. The only question then though is, where does the McLuhan, I think it is McLuhan, where do those power rings fall in relationship to power?
Right.
Like,
Right.
are they
And that's the real
Infinity
question.
Stone level? Are they greater than Infinity Stones?
I don't think they're.
Are
I don't think they're
they-
Infinity Stone level.
I think they're probably somewhere between like Vibranium and Infinity Stones.
Right.
They're
I would
kinda
probably.
like,
I would tap it right there with
Yeah.
because we've seen some of like the layout of the powers, like immortality.
yeah, right.
It has
Boost.
some sort of like pulse.
yeah,
power.
thrust.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
like in power and then strength enhancement.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
so,
definitely.
Like
yeah.
it's better than vibranium, but
Yeah.
it's not. I don't think it's on the level.
It's
of
not
like
reality
a,
bending like
Exactly.
like an Infinity Stone.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just weird. I'm not sure. I mean, and it might not be anything super big other than it's calling like Fin Fang Foom
Yep.
to the earth. Because I can't imagine it would be something that would be like this great crux against somebody like Kang.
Yeah.
If they're not that, it's probably just going to end up being this is his powers, and it's
Yep.
calling more adversaries to Earth. I
Agreed.
guess.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So verdict time. Let's talk about the verdict. You already said not a perfection. It is
Yep.
what it is.
You give me a verdict this time.
All right. I'm going to say perfection. I'm going to say good on the MCU for creating a movie that is true to what its roots should have been in the comics and course correcting where the comics had terrible racial stereotypes and making something really quality that does a good job representing, and also taking another step into the many folds of the MCU formula where we've got the same kind of formula, but they've now extended it to martial arts movies with fantasy elements that are greater than anything we've seen so far. So really great. Also, man, like nobody's really well known in the American movie scene, and yet these guys killed it. I mean, they were incredible actors and actresses. They were phenomenal in their parts, and they really brought a movie to life for a character that hasn't been given justice in the comics, but now is being given justice on the big screen, and hopefully will lead to even more justice on the newer comic pages. So I thought it was fantastic. I loved it.
I can get behind that. I think there are my own preferences around different things.
Yeah.
But I do want to give them major props for digging into we're digging into with MCU right now, major mythos.
Yeah.
Heroes and villains.
Yeah.
And they're not shying away from that. They're leaning into it, which is brave and difficult, but I think it's going to end up ultimately being great. If they keep on doing that with other heroes and villains in the same line as Shang-Chi, I think it's going to be great. And they have to, because they've now gone through some of the more what I would say, I don't want to say basic characters, but characters that people who have known for a long time. They now are starting to dig into some of the lesser known ones, which is good. We want to see more of that, and it creates more of a appetite for people to then go and read about them in the comics. So they're doing smart things, but it's just about making sure that they do it justice.
Yeah, agreed. And we'll see as they're continuing down that road of not as known characters in big phase altering roles. We've got the Eternals. The Eternals is the next movie coming out.
Right.
And it's going to be huge. And nobody knows the Eternals. They're
Exactly.
not big characters. So we're going to see if they did it with Guardians.
Yep.
And now they've done it with Shang-Chi. And we're going to see if they can do it again with the Eternals, man.
I believe they will.
I think so, too. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thanks for listening to the Legion of Comic Correction. Don't forget to check out our other episodes streaming everywhere you listen to podcasts. We're also on the major social platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search Legion of Comic Correction.
That's right. And make sure to check out our Patreon for exclusive supporter specials at patreon.com/Legion of CC. New episodes come out every week. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place, same Legion.